We have watched Britt struggle for months, caught in a web of her own making. But the recent turn of events involving the innocent Rocco has changed the fundamental DNA of this story. I have been tracking the movements of these characters with a hawk's eye. And if you ask me, the tension between the sanctuary Britt tried to build and the encroaching darkness of someone like Cullum was always going to end in blood. It is not just about the chase anymore. It is about the cost of survival in a city that rarely forgives those who step out of line. And believe me, the cost is rising every single day. We all know the history here, guys. When we think back to the long-standing feuds that have defined the Corinthos and Spencer legacies, we realize that Port Charles is fueled by the ghosts of the past. The atmosphere in town has been thick with dread, a cold wind blowing through the hospital halls and the penthouses alike, suggesting that something monumental is looming. If you ask me, the way the shadows seem to lengthen around Britt and Rocco is a deliberate narrative choice, forcing us to confront the reality that there is nowhere left to hide. We have seen characters like Dante and Lulu desperate to uncover the truth, unaware that the game has already changed. I feel it in my bones that the secrets they are digging up are nothing compared to the violent reality currently playing out in the wilderness, where the air is thin and the danger is visceral, pulsing with every heartbeat of the boy who just wants to go home. Guys, let us talk about the specific moment where everything shifted. When Cullum finally cornered them, that smug, arrogant look on his face was the ultimate catalyst. He thought he had complete control, didn't he? He treated the hunt like a sport, a twisted game where he held all the cards, but he severely underestimated Britt's maternal instinct. I watched the scene unfold in my mind's eye, and I swear, you could see the exact second where her fear evaporated, replaced by a cold, sharp determination that would make even the most hardened mobster wince. She did not just react, she calculated. If you ask me, the way she lured him into that false sense of security was a masterpiece of desperation. She knew that if she didn't act, Rocco would be gone, and that realization transformed her from a fugitive into a protector who would not hesitate to do the unthinkable to keep her loved one breathing. When Cullum swung that final brutal blow toward Rocco, the world seemed to stop. You could hear the silence of the forest, broken only by the sound of a struggle that would echo through the history of this show. Britt didn't just survive, she became the architect of her own salvation, and in doing so, she crossed a line that can never be uncrossed. I have spent years analyzing the psychology of our favorite characters, and I can tell you that this act of violence will haunt her far more than the act itself. She is now carrying the heavy burden of having ended a life, even if it was a monster like Cullum, and the fallout will be catastrophic for everyone connected to her. We, the viewers, are now forced to sit with the uncomfortable truth that our heroes are capable of becoming the very things they fear most when the stakes are life or death. If you ask me, the psychological toll on Britt is going to be the most compelling part of this arc. Imagine, guys, the way she must look at her own hands now. Every time she touches Rocco, is she seeing the blood of the man she had to eliminate? It is a haunting image that I believe the writers are going to lean into hard. We see her trying to maintain a facade of strength, but deep down, she is fracturing. And poor Rocco, he is just a boy caught in a whirlwind of adult sins he barely understands. I find myself wondering how much of this trauma he will absorb. Will it change his worldview, or will he grow up viewing the world through the same distorted, dangerous lens that Britt has been forced to adopt? It is a question that keeps me up at night, and I know I am not the only one feeling this heavy, crushing sense of dread for their future. Let us look at the aftermath of this encounter. The trail of breadcrumbs that the authorities are following, the frantic calls from Elizabeth, the desperate prayers from those who still have hope, it is all converging on a collision course. We know that secrets in Port Charles have a way of surfacing, usually at the worst possible time. I have a theory, guys, that the discovery of Cullum's fate will not be the relief everyone expects. Instead, it will be the spark that ignites an even larger investigation, one that might pull in people who have been trying to stay under the radar. Could this lead back to the inner circles of the city's most powerful families? I think the answer is a resounding yes. The ripple effect of one woman's choice is currently tearing through the fabric of the community, and we are just beginning to see the damage. There is a profound sadness to the way Britt has to operate now. She is constantly looking over her shoulder, not just for the law, but for the ghosts of her own actions. I truly believe that her biggest challenge isn't running away, but learning how to live with herself after doing what was necessary. We see these characters, and we often judge them by their past mistakes, but this is different. This is a transformation born of genuine, raw survival. If you ask me, we are witnessing the birth of a new, harder version of her. Someone who has shed her past skin and is ready to fight with everything she has left. It makes me respect her character even more, even as I fear for her ultimate fate. You can tell she is holding on by a thread. And guys, we all know how fragile those threads are in this town. If you ask me, we need to consider the perspective of the people back home. Elizabeth and the others are operating on a completely different frequency, trying to piece together a puzzle that is missing half its parts. They see a kidnapping, a mystery, a tragedy, but they don't see the reality of the hunt. This disconnect is creating a tension that is absolutely palpable. Every time we switch scenes, the frustration mounts because we know the truth that they are desperately searching for. It is brilliant writing, honestly, because it keeps us hooked, wondering how long it will take for the two worlds to collide. I am waiting for that moment when the truth breaks, because that is when the real fireworks will start. And believe me, it will be explosive. Do you ever feel like the characters in Port Charles are just puppets in a game they don't fully understand? I do. We see the strings being pulled, the accidents that aren't really accidents, and the choices that lead to ruin. Britt's decision to end Cullum was her way of cutting those strings, of taking back control from a life that has constantly tried to define her. But in doing so, she may have just tied herself to a new set of consequences that are even more dangerous. It is a classic soap trope, sure, but it is handled with such intensity here that it feels fresh and urgent. I cannot help but root for her, even as I know she is walking into a fire that might consume everything. Is she a victim, or is she the villain of her own story now? It is a question that challenges us to look deeper. I look at the way the scenes are constructed, the lingering shots of the landscape, the way the silence is used to emphasize the weight of their isolation. It is not just a show. It is a visceral experience. Guys, when we see Britt looking into the distance, we are seeing the reflection of every choice she has ever made. She has been pushed to the edge so many times, but this is the final frontier. There is no coming back from this, not really. The life she had is gone, and the one she is building is built on a foundation of shifting sand. I am genuinely worried about the next few episodes. I feel like the tension is going to snap at any second, and when it does, the fallout will be legendary. Let us dive into the mechanics of her survival. She didn't just kill him. She had to be faster, smarter, and more ruthless than him. That takes a level of cold-blooded focus that is terrifying to watch. I think about the actress's performance, the way she conveys that inner conflict without saying a word, and it is truly top-tier stuff. If you ask me, this is the best material she has had in years. We are seeing a range of emotions that usually gets lost in the day-to-day shuffle of hospital politics. This is raw, unadulterated drama, and it is exactly what we need to keep us coming back for more. It is a reminder of why we fell in love with these characters in the first place, because they are flawed, they are messy, and they are capable of surprising us when we least expect it. Could there be an unexpected ally for her out there? Maybe someone from the past who knows what it is like to be on the run? I have been racking my brain trying to figure out who could possibly help her without drawing attention to themselves. Maybe the answer is closer than we think. We have seen characters like Jason or others with similar skill sets who know the dark corners of this world. If they were to find out, would they help her? or turn her in? It is a dilemma that adds another layer of complexity to the narrative. If you ask me, the mystery of who might step in is just as compelling as the hunt itself. We need to keep our eyes peeled, guys, because the smallest details often lead to the biggest revelations. I keep coming back to the idea of the moral compass of the show. Who is really the good guy here? Is it the people who follow the rules, even when those rules are failing? Or is it the ones who do what they have to do, even if it stains their souls? It is a debate that has raged for decades, and Britt is now firmly on one side of that line. I find myself siding with her, which says a lot about how the story has successfully shifted our sympathies. We don't want her caught. We want her to find a way out, even if we know that out is becoming increasingly impossible. The suspense is killing me, and I know you all feel the same way. As we look toward the future, the question isn't whether she will be found, but what will happen when she is. Will there be any mercy? Will the truth of her actions be understood in the context of the danger she and Rocco were in? I doubt it. Port Charles loves a scandal, and this would be the biggest one in a long time. The trial, the public shaming, the internal collapse of her life, it is all waiting for her on the other side of this. I just hope she is prepared for the firestorm. We are witnessing a character arc that is going to be talked about for years to come, guys. And we are lucky to be here to see it unfold in real time. I want to leave you all with this thought. We are watching a woman transform into a legend of survival, but every legend has a price. Britt has already paid in blood, and she will continue to pay until the very end. The upcoming weeks are going to be a bloodbath of emotions, secrets, and confrontations that will shake the foundations of every household in Port Charles. Get ready for the storm, because the carnage of this hunt is only just beginning, and soon enough, the shadows will rise to claim those who thought they were safe in the light.
Goodbye. Please like, subscribe, and comment on the GH Spoilers Daily channel.